Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Burning Road podcast. I'm Jake Scarborough, joined by my co-hosts Fidel Fabian, Kyler Boggs, and Tyler McIntosh. How you guys doing today?
Doing
Pretty
good.
good. Good.
All right. Well, obviously we came off basically things to kick off racing season in America, being Daytona week, and although it got pushed to Monday, we still saw, Daytona being Daytona, I guess. To kick things off, the Truck Series race, which did somehow squeeze its way in this weekend on Friday and was the only race not postponed day-wise. Um, I don't know. Thoughts, takes on it, Fidel?
Yeah, just horrible. Driver etiquette. Truck Series needs like an entire overhaul in how drivers' mentality goes into a race. Uh, a record of 12 cautions, I think, for Daytona, and overall it's a complete mess. 6 out of 10 for my race rating.
All right, Kyler?
I think it was pretty solid. I mean, it didn't really help that the stages were really short. I think that could maybe be something later on to change me personally because the racing was really good whenever it was green flag runs, but it just didn't help when there was really short stages and caution after caution after caution and stuff. But overall, the racing I thought was pretty good, so I'd probably give it a 7 out of 10 as far as that goes.
All right, Ty?
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I thought it was pretty bad. I was thankfully in a Discord call, and I think the only thing that made it enjoyable was being with people that made it even more funny. Uh, I'm glad everybody was okay in the flip. I will no longer be picking flip candidates. Um, at play raises, it was very bad. Um, yeah, no, I'd give it maybe a 5.5, truthfully.
Mhm. Well, um, I was in that same Discord call as Ty. I'm not gonna lie. I gave up on the truck race when the rain delay happened and signed up for iRacing NIS at Daytona because I was that bored. So my only way of knowing what was going on while it was happening was hearing a bunch of people scream in Discord, but I got to watch highlights afterwards. And, I'm gonna have to agree with Fidel and Ty on this one. Kyler, you seem to be the only person that's given that race any good review. Um, I don't know. I just feel like at the same time, I feel like this is how the truck series is now. It's kind of just a shit show every time we go to a plate track. And, we saw a prime example of that, the new caution record and everything. There's no reason that race was as much of a wreck fest as it was. Um, Something I do want to touch on before we get into the Xfinity race is obviously that last lap wreck with Raja Caruth causing the big one ultimately. He's in hot shit. A bunch of people giving him a bunch of crap for the incident. And, before I let Fidel take that one off, as far as the truck race goes, I'm gonna say that was like, yeah, 5 out of 10. It it's what you expect from the truck series, which is sad now, but it could have been worse, could have been better on so many levels though. But about the Raja incident, Fidel,
Yeah, that was 100% on Raja. I don't know what he was thinking. He said he got pushed out of four, but from the replay, nothing happened to him. He just slid up. I forget who he turned, but ended up causing a huge wreck and made who Tanner Taylor one of the Grays flipped
Taylor.
over. Yeah, landed on his brother in the wreck, and it was definitely something. And then right after the race, we saw Bo Walls basically pull him over, giving a pep talk, kind of like a me- bit of a mentor talk. And obviously, Twitter started talking about that one. But overall, I think Raja needs to learn a lot after what he did on the final restart.
Mhm. Kyler.
Um, I'm to be honest, I think with how much of a crash it caused, taking out pretty much the entire field. I mean, I don't know if anyone's going to agree with me on this, but I feel like it needs to be you know a penalty of some sort, because in theory, if he doesn't get any penalty from that, which he didn't, the logic is, oh, I'm in second, I can just accidentally turn the person in third and just wipe out the entire field and collect the leader involved and win the race. And I'm not whenever that crash happened, it wasn't, obviously, the best look on Raja's part, because, it took out the entire field. But I feel like in future events, when stuff like that happens, um there needs to be some sort of penalty, whether it's like putting Raja the last car in the lead lap or something like that. Anything that I guess prevents him to keep that top five, because that was his first ever top five that he got. And you could argue that, well, if the wreck didn't happen, he probably was still finished in the top five or top 10 regardless. But um the reason why I say this is because the perfect example of last year of the Australian Grand Prix, when Carlos Sainz turned Fernando Alonso, creating that big crash. Everyone got their spots back, but Fernando Alonso, or Carlos Sainz, I mean, got the penalty and got dropped out of the points because of that. So I feel like NASCAR should go something similar in that way, when stuff like this happens, because I don't feel it's right when someone turns someone else and it creates a massive crash, and that takes out everyone. Because I think um after that crash, I think maybe like four cars may have made it through without any damage or anything like that. So that's just my take on it.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to be devil's advocate, but I think at the same time, I mean, he could have got tight. Obviously, like I'm not saying that that was what happened, because I don't know what happened. Nobody knows what happened. But if he's saying he got tight, I mean, I think Corey, who was behind him, I don't think Corey pushed him, but Corey says that he believes in Raja. If Raja was tight, which I think if he just turned him, Corey would have probably said something, teammate or not. I feel like Corey's that kind of guy that's going to say something. Um, but I think Raja, even after the race, saying he got tight, and the interaction with Bubba there, I think good on Bubba. Truthfully, I think younger drivers, especially, and with how social media is with the sport and how you can get really crucified online. Truthfully, I think having somebody to kind of pull you to the side and let you know that you're being watched, and you need to think about what you're doing and think about how you portray yourself. I think that's good. I think that's a good big brother moment there from Bubba to Raja. I really like to see that, especially because Bubba knows what it's like to be crucified for things on the internet that it's rough. I don't know what it is with the NASCAR community, but it's not a nice one. But yeah, I think uh yeah, no, I think Raja he's gonna learn from it for sure. I think um if he did just get tight, it's unfortunate. But like Kyler said, I do kind of see the reasoning behind if it were, something that was just kind of like boneheaded, then I could definitely see Kyler's point on that.
Mhm. I mean, I do understand, yeah, what Kyler's saying with the whole, there should be a penalty in place or some sort of ruling that would make people, avoid these types of situations. And if it does happen, NASCAR kind of puts their foot in on it and get something done. I understand if he got tight. We saw multiple times during that race where, someone would get barely side drafted or barely bumped. They'd either be swerving all over the place because of that bump, or they would just slide straight up, or hell, even spin at times. Like the way the trucks work at the plate races, it's pretty sketchy. And for a guy like Raja, who's, I mean, we all have to say he is inexperienced. There's no doubting that. And this was his first time in position where he had a chance at a win. He had a teammate behind him. He was set to go to the front, and whether it was a push, whether he did get tight, I do feel like it could have been both. And I feel like an added part of it was, nerves got to him. He cracked under pressure, and I feel like he knows that. And that's not me bad talking him or anything. Like, that's your first chance at a win. You've got all these people hating on you when you've never done anything wrong. And that's one thing, like Time mentioned with Bubba talking to him post race. Bubba's also been called out for being his own biggest hater. So I hope at the same time, Bubba's learning that, but also he's not trying to put Raja in the situation where Raja's going to be the most critical on himself out of anyone. But at the same time, make it aware, stuff like this is going to happen. That's racing, especially at these plate tracks, or well, not plate anymore, but you get my point. It's going to happen regardless, and there's always going to be a second chance, and especially with a team like Spire that's basically just KBM's original organization. I feel like that isn't going to be the first time we see Raja in position to win this year, especially. But moving forward from that, we have the Xfinity race, which took place after the Daytona 500 on Monday night, which in its own right was interesting. So, Fidel, take it away. He's. I, uh-huh. Oh,
Oh, the shitternet's back.
the sh oh boy. Fidel, can you hear us? Oh, and he's done for. Well, Kyler, you go ahead and take his place.
All right. Well, honestly, the Xfinity race, it went by really fast, but of course we saw the single file racing that, we've always all not been a fan of, which isn't surprising because obviously once everyone gets strung out and obviously, in a position to pretty much put themselves in towards the end of the race, it doesn't surprise me, but later on in the race, there was chaos, of course, which is always a thing in Xfinity because even at the regular tracks, there's always, green, white checkers and stuff like that. But I, I mean, it was an alright race. I mean, it wasn't the best, but it wasn't all. It was also not the worst. So, I mean, I'd probably give it, just like a 6 out of 10 or something, to be honest.
Mm.
I slept through it. I'm not gonna lie to you. I was really tired after the 500. Laid on my couch, started to watch it, fell asleep. So
Yeah, I mean, I kind of did the same thing. I woke up just in time for it to start, watched it until I saw Deegan get wrecked out, and I was like, well, I'm not watching the rest of it because I know this is going to be an Austin Hill win somehow, some way. And sure as shit. From what I got to see from highlights, though, I mean, it's your typical season opener for Daytona in the Xfinity Series. It's kind of tame, single file for a bit, gets double file at random points when it matters. We saw Jesse Love and Austin Hill working well together. They even had photo finish for a stage. But as I said, somehow, some way, Austin Hill finds a stupid way to win, and it's because the entire field wrecked and Sheldon Creed lifted off the gas, thinking he was going to get a push from someone catching up. So we almost got that feel good story of Sheldon Creed kind of flipping the bird to RCR's entire organization, but that'll have to wait for another day. So with that, there's the 500. Um, Considering Fidel's still out of this world, I guess I don't. He's not with us anymore. He is fatally passed away in this Zoom meeting. So Kyler, your takes on the 500?
I mean, me personally, I thought the racing was great. I saw a lot of three wide early on. I know obviously the crash with, John Hunter Nemechek, Harrison Burton, Jimmy Johnson, Austin Dillon, Kaz Grala. That was unfortunate to see because, the racing up to that was really good, in my opinion, at least. Because at least as far as, 2023 and 2022 at Daytona and Talladega, we didn't see much three ride racing with the next gen car, and so I feel like this was like the race where, they, were very comfortable with racing three wide because that happened at a lot of points in the race, and especially towards the end. up until, you know, the crash with Byron getting loose and hooking, I think it was Brad, across the field, which was really unfortunate because that took out pretty much everyone towards the end. But of course, you know, the Daytona 500 ends under caution once again for I think the third time the past 4 years, if I'm not mistaken. Um, but obviously on social media, NASCAR got a lot of hate and controversy regarding, you know, when the caution came out compared to, you know, what was it, Byron, was it Bowman out front? Um, I think what some people don't understand is when the lights go off, that's when the call is. When it's you know, when there's a yellow being called, and when the lights turned on, Bowman was in front, but at the moment of caution, Byron was in front. And so I feel like that's something people need to understand, especially on social media, because I've read a lot of comments on tweets, and it was not pretty, to say the least. As you know, well, it doesn't surprise me because these are just how NASCAR fans are for the most part whenever it comes to stuff ending like this. But you know, I enjoyed the racing. I thought it was really good. Probably the some of the best, in my opinion, at least some of the best plate racing in recent years, at least as far as, you know, this with this new car and stuff like that. I'll probably give it, you know, 7 or 8 out of 10, to be honest.
Mhm. Ty?
You know, I thought the 500 was really good actually. Being somebody that I mean, like I know it sounds stupid to say, but I think plate racing is probably one of my favorite kinds of the racing in the sport that we have, just because I feel like it makes people have to work together really well, and you can see who's got the I don't want to say the biggest cojones, but I mean like you got to stay up there, like you know it's gonna get tricky, but you're gonna be up there no matter what. So I definitely I'm with Kyler on the first wreck with Harrison Burton getting killed, especially early in the race. Feel like I was kind of sad, and Kaz too, because Kaz had to he raced his way in, and then after not getting to qualify, and then have it. I think he was out after that, wasn't he? Wasn't that it for Kaz?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean having that in so early for him was kind of sad. Um, the big one was crazy. I don't know, it was weird. Um, I don't know. I feel like that's just plate racing. Like I know everybody, it's obviously on somebody, but it's plate racing at that point. That's just kind of the situation they get put in. Um, the finish, yeah, comes back to what I said with Ronda earlier. I feel like NASCAR fans on social media are just unhinged. Truthfully, um, I don't, I don't think it's ever going to change. Truthfully, I don't think anybody's going to be happy. At least not most of the fan base. You can't please everybody. There's always the sour grape. But I would say personally the 500 was probably about an 8.5 to a 9.
Mhm. Well, Fidel, we'll trace it back to you real quick if your, as Ty said, shitternet decides to hold in.
Yeah, it's mostly my laptop, not my internet. This thing only has like 4 gigabytes of RAM on it, so it's it's barely got anything on it.
Yeah, seems that way.
But nah, I think this 500 was really uh first obviously the racing in stage one was a bit because of fuel saving, and even at one point AJ Allmendinger, who had to serve a penalty all by himself, was running faster, 5 miles per hour on average faster than the whole pack. That was something. It felt like I was watching a NASCAR 21 race in real life where the AI was just running so slow. But yeah, after that, it was basically three wide racing mostly. Drivers nearly risking it all just for a position, and I think it was pretty good. Me as a Cowboys fan, it was kind of disappointing seeing him run to the top and immediately dissipate just to have him finish 12th. But I give it a solid 8 out of 10. It was pretty good.
All right. Well, as far as the 500 went, I have to say Yeah. Anyways, you know, as I have to say, you know, the 500, it's probably one of the best 500s we've had, in my opinion, in recent time, at least in the past 5 years, something like that. Definitely the best with the next gen. You know, it sucks to see, as Kyler mentioned, that the two guys that raced their way in, one of them had their day actually ended. One of them had their race, you know, basically just stuck after an early wreck. And, you know, you hate it for Harrison Burton because this is another one where he goes into speed weeks looking quick and he gets taken out of it by, ironically, Brad Keselowski again. So,
Who would have guessed?
yeah, who would have guessed? Yeah, the guy that refuses to lift. Maybe he should take tips from Tony Breidinger because apparently she still likes lifting at plate tracks. A little too much, but what am I supposed to know? Um, Everything else, though, you know, the racing itself was fine aside from, you know, where, as Fidel mentioned, AJ Allmendinger was going quicker by himself than the field was where everyone was together because the full fuel saving chicanery that was taking place. I mean, yeah, that's how you have to save in this car. And that's what stage racing's going to do at these plate tracks. And with as many people realizing, okay, this is probably our only realistic shot at a win, we may as well take as many points as we can get. You're going to have stuff like that happen. So we've got all that going on. I feel like something's going to change when we get to Talladega in, what is it, like 9, 10 weeks time. I feel like Atlanta will kind of see shades of it. I wouldn't be surprised if we do or don't. Um, you know, as far as that goes, but with the big one, you know, sucks to see that the guys that finished 1, 2 are ultimately the cause of the big one. But as Ty said, you know, that's plate racing. You're going to have bad pushes. You're going to have moments where you're going to get a push, think you're going to be fine, and oh no, I'm sideways. So, you know, that's how you have to drive these cars at those tracks. And you know, I understand the fans being mad. I understand the fans being mad about the finish itself, but I mean, what else can you do? NASCAR made the call that Byron was in the lead when the time of caution or when there was the caution out, and he won. Simple as that. It was close, yes, but you always want to see him race it back. Sucks we haven't had that in the past few years, it seems, but you got to work with what you've got. And we saw a guy that hasn't been able to finish a plate race, it seems, especially the 500 in a good spot, finally win. And especially a guy that's on a redemption season, as I'd like to call it, because people hyped him up so much last year for the season he was having. He looked like the guy to beat going into Phoenix, and, you know, he didn't get it. So this is the start of redemption season for William Byron, as far as I'm concerned. I feel like Hendrick's going to be an unstoppable force because so many people have been hyping up Kyle Larson. You know, you've got Chase Elliott with a clear mindset that he's got a full year to focus on. Alex Bowman after a promising 500. You know, there's a lot to look at for Hendrick this year. And I, as much as I hate to say it, would it be too early to say that all four Hendrick cars could realistically make it to the final four? Would that be crazy to say? I just
It's
feel
likely.
like I just feel like all those guys have a lot of momentum behind them now. With this new year, and we've got a couple years into the next gen that people are going to be knowing what to do. And Hendrick's always been a step ahead when it comes to that. So, nevertheless, some of the big news going on, kind of touched on it already. In case you guys have anything to add on to it, that NASCAR is investigating into the way drivers saved during the 500 where they were going so damn slow. Um, Not sure how they're going to really change it up, but I don't know. If you guys have any thoughts or things to add on to that, Fabian, do you?
Uh, I think one way could just be maybe getting rid of stage cautions, but keeping the stages.
Mhm.
I don't know. That's my only one idea from preventing that severe amount of fuel saving at the start of the race.
Mhm.
I
Ty?
don't I don't know because I mean you don't the yellow coming out's not what makes them save fuel. It's trying to get those points.
Yeah.
So
Fair
you don't
enough.
really solve that issue.
Well, I don't know where Kyler went in the same dimension that Fidel was in for a minute, I guess. So, I don't know. My kind of thoughts on it are, yeah, stages are the huge factor. Doesn't matter if there's a caution or not. People are just trying to make it to the end of the stage, You're putting points on the line. People are going to do whatever they can to get those points. And I mean, hey, even if you get rid of those cautions, you're likely to get a caution because people are going to be going balls to the wall trying to get spots on that lap and then try getting single file again. That's just not going to work. It's either get rid of the whole stage idea entirely for plate tracks or, you know, work with what you've got. Maybe just find a way to place the stage at a point where no one needs to save fuel to get there, where you're forced to take one stop or, you don't even need a pit at all during the stage. I feel like that's kind of your only realistic way around it, but it's tough to say, nevertheless. Um, Next on the notes, we have Truck Series return for Kyle Busch. Obviously, with Kyle Busch Motorsports not being a team in the Truck Series anymore, bought out by Spire Motorsports, he's still got, I guess, a stake or partnership with the team. So he'll be running, I believe it was 4 or 5 races with the team. First
5.
one, oh, it's 5. All right. So first one starting this weekend at Atlanta, and then he'll be racing again at Las Vegas. I don't remember the other three off the top of my head, but nevertheless, he'll be driving the 7 truck for Spire these next 2 weeks. So, Fidel, you got anything to input on that?
As a Kyle Busch fan, seeing Kyle go down to a lower series and race at a plate track kind of brings back Vietnam flashbacks to 2015. But overall, it's gonna feel weird seeing Kyle in a non-KBN font number. Seeing that Spire font with Kyle Busch just doesn't feel right. I feel like I'm in a fever dream after 2022. Uh, it's it's just a weird era for Kyle Busch right now. No more candy sponsors, mostly nicotine, bourbon, and weed. That's all I can say.
Yeah. Well, Ty, you're the other Kyle Busch fan. You got any input?
I'm actually really excited, truthfully. I think
Kid in the candy shop right here.
no, I'm excited just because, like, I feel like Kyle knowingly has had his hand in too many baskets. I'm not gonna lie, this past couple years, and I feel like that's why we kind of saw a down couple of years for Kyle. Obviously having Rowdy Energy, having the KBM team, having everything go on, he wasn't really able to focus on himself. So I think this is Kyle not really having to go in as a team owner anymore. This is Kyle going in as a driver, with one goal, and that's not to worry about what everybody else. That's just to run his race. So I'm excited. I hope it's not as Fidel. What else?
Just ignore it.
Is
Just
it,
ignore it.
don't tell me that's music.
That's my brother watching something.
Okay.
Okay.
Well.
What you doing, stepbrother? So yeah, I mean, I'm really excited just to see how it goes for Kyle. I hope it's not as stressful as being a team owner is. I think it's gonna be cool. It's gonna be weird seeing him in a not 51 car. I'm not gonna lie, the paint scheme really weird. I don't know what to think about it, but I'm excited to see Kyle at Atlanta. I do feel the 2015 Vietnam. I actually saw my post pop up on my feed today, where it was a year. It was 9 years ago today that I made the post where he broke his leg in the Xfinity Series, and I was really sad. So
Get out of here with your Kyle Busch. No, no. I can't hate on the guy now. He's, I've started to be fond of Kyle. I feel like both of you could back me up if you asked me 3 years ago. I would have said
yep.
anything foul I could about Kyle, but
Mhm.
yeah. Um, but no, I mean, I'm interested to see how he kind of performs with a truck that isn't directly his. Obviously saw the colleague start he made last year in the Xfinity series, and it seemed like he did treat that whole weekend a little bit differently, and I feel like that's also because these are guys he's never worked with before. So I'm interested to see, is that Spire group that same group of people that he's used to working with? Is it a mix of new and old? Is it all new and he's going to have to relearn everything? I mean, with it being a essential plate track, it shouldn't be hard for him to kind of get a rhythm down. I'm not sure why he's doing Atlanta. That seems like an oddball to
Yeah,
to do. Thought he learned his lesson, as you guys mentioned, 2015, to not do another plate track in a lower series. But hey, maybe if something happens, maybe he goes on to win a championship for RCR. Who knows?
I
But
don't even.
I'm not wishing bad on him. I'm just saying, hypothetically, you know, history repeats itself. Apparently, that's a theme this year, across just sports as a whole. But I'm interested to see how he does with
Fair.
Spire for sure. Anyways, moving on from that, other driver news that was announced earlier today. Carson Kvapil will be making his Xfinity Series debut for Junior Motorsports, driving the number 88 at Martinsville. So, kind of a random one, but I feel like people expected it at the same time, to be sooner or later since he drives for Junior in the Cars Tour. But you guys have any thoughts on it?
I think Carson Qual is going to be like Ryan Blaney from Dave Blaney. I think Carson Qual is going to go further beyond than what Travis Quapple did in NASCAR. And I'm excited to see what Carson Quapple can do in the Xfinity Series.
Hmm.
Yeah, no, as a junior fan, I'm really excited. I feel like we haven't seen um a young guy that has been brought up through junior motorsports since we saw Sam Mayer. Obviously, why can't I think of his name? Sammy Smith just made the move to the 8 car. I don't know why, that was a really hard time. But Sammy Smith moving over to the 8 car. Not somebody that started with junior motorsports, but to see somebody that's really young and that has worked their way through the junior motorsports, as far as like being in the late model, and now moving up to the Xfinity Series, kind of reminds me of Josh Berry a little bit. I'm really excited. As somebody who likes junior motorsports and I love short track racing as well, I think it's going to be cool to see him at a track that he knows in a car that is, I think for sure, out of everything that NASCAR's top three series offers, I think it's the closest to the late model by far. Um, really excited to see what he's able to do at once.
Hmm. I mean, I'll be honest, I don't follow the Cars Tour late model racing as much as I probably should. Obviously, it's a name I've heard multiple times. I feel like it's hard to kind of know NASCAR and follow it on a more than regular basis and not know about Carson Kvapil. As I said, this is something that people expected. It was sooner or later that it was going to happen. I'm interested to see how it turns out. Fidel's dying in the background. Um, but no, I mean, Martinsville is a good track for him to learn at. Obviously, they race there in the Cars Tour. So, you know, close to a late model car with the Xfinity car, great program to be with. So it's going to be interesting to see how he performs in that debut. And if, he does get a full-time ride with the team next year, for example, and maybe some other starts throughout the year. Um, Kyler, not sure if you were listening or not, but we are discussing Carson Kvapil making his Xfinity debut at Martinsville for Junior Motorsports. So, do you have anything to toss in on it?
Yeah, I do. I think it's gonna go pretty well. I mean, he's been doing pretty good in the late models with the short tracks, and I think it's gonna go, very similar on how Lane Riggs got his opportunity with Colleague, in the Xfinity Series. He'll do a couple races and then probably, I mean, maybe a full season depending on his performance and everything. I could definitely see a ride opening up at Junior Motorsports in a couple years, for Carson. Obviously, it'll depend if Brandon Jones stays or leaves to another team, because I know that I think during the offseason it was uncertain to whether or not he would return to Junior Motorsports. But I could definitely see Carson, maybe over there, full time, but in a couple years or so. But definitely, it should be a pretty good race from his perspective at least, learning the Xfinity cars, especially at a short track where he's known to be good at. And I think it'll be a good run for him.
Mm. Well, moving forward, kind of the shocking news, I mentioned it before we started recording, was Colleague Racing announced that Derek Kraus will be making 6 Cup Series starts for the team, driving their kind of rotating car with the 16 this year. Um, Oddball for sure. I feel like no one expected him to be in Cup with the team, but nevertheless, your guys' thoughts, Fidel?
Yeah, I think with this new card NASCAR has in the Cup Series, it's important for young drivers who already get some experience with this car, since how drastically different it is compared to NASCAR's previous Cup cars and other cars in the lower division series. So I think this could give him some pretty good experience in the Cup Series and hopefully move along his career.
Kyler?
Yeah, it's like you said, it's definitely an oddball for sure, but I mean, who knows? I mean, he could maybe, be the replacement for AJ Allmendinger when AJ retires, because AJ is getting up there in age. I think he's nearly 40 if I'm not wrong. So AJ has definitely a few years left of him. So I think if everything goes well for Derek Kraus, I could see him be the replacement for Allmendinger. I know that it's very early, especially when he ran part-time in Xfinity last year, with colleague, I'm pretty sure. But you know, at the same time, it doesn't surprise me because he's pretty much I think he's the only part-time driver on that team that's new. So if everything goes well, I definitely think he could be the replacement for Allmendinger when AJ finally decides enough is enough, for sure.
Hmm.
Oh, it's really weird for me. I think out of everybody that I expected to make a start for Colleague, Derek Kraus was not it. I think Jake and I talked a little earlier about how he made his first Xfinity start last year for the team and only ran about 8 races. So to see him in a cup car this early, it's kind of crazy. I hope it goes well for him, truthfully. I think that it's going to be interesting because this car is drives nothing like the Xfinity car. It's really weird. So it's going to be interesting to see somebody who is as young as he is, and I don't want to say inexperienced because obviously he's ran a couple full-time truck series seasons, but somebody who is maybe not as developed take the cup car so soon in their career.
Hmm. Yeah, oddball for sure. I went into the off season thinking he's going to be the guy filling in Hemrick's spot in the Xfinity series. Obviously that wasn't the case as Josh Williams got that slot for the team. And, they kept the 10 as their rotating car, and Allmendinger came back down, and SVG's now with the team. So I kind of thought, okay, he's free agent. And then I heard, oh, he's sticking around as colleagues kind of reserve and test driver and sim driver, all that. So, you're not thinking much of that. I mean, that's what he was last year. And they kind of just tossed him out there and said, hey, here's a ride, and gave him a few opportunities. So, to only make your first Xfinity start last year and only get a couple races to see how it is in the Xfinity series, and now he's just kind of getting tossed out there and in Cup. I do think that's an oddball for sure because we're about to find out, is he prepared? Is he underprepared? Is he developed enough? I feel like the big part of this move is it's going to help with his sim work that he does for the team, getting those few starts with the actual Cup car rather than just sitting on a sim. He'll kind of be able to know what adjustments to help the team out with behind the scenes. I do think it's good that he's going to be partnered with Daniel Hemrick since they were teammates in Xfinity last year for Colleague, and he's not teamed up with someone in Cup that he doesn't know at all. So there may be a good, partnership there with teammates kind of talking amongst each other, helping each other out at these races. But I'm interested. I'm happy. that this is a move, but I'm not sure it was the right move in a way. I guess they're just trying to have someone fill the seat, and he had the sponsorship or whatever the case is. So, nevertheless, it's going to be odd to see Derek Krause making cup starts, but we'll see how that turns out at Phoenix, I believe it is, right? Or was it Vegas?
It's
Vegas.
Vegas.
Okay.
Vegas.
Vegas.
Aside from that, moving forward to this week's predictions for Atlanta, before we get into this for all three series, I'd like to point out the only person to get a prediction right out of everyone on the podcast and a part of Redux Photography, the only person to get anything right was the one British guy that's a part of the group, being Jackson Turner. He guessed that Austin Hill would win the Xfinity race. He was the only person to guess anything right. I don't know if that's bad or what, but now the British are invading, and I don't like that. So, we're gonna have to fix that this week, and everyone's
That
gonna
was
have to
my
get something
prediction.
right. Huh?
That was my prediction.
What was your prediction?
Yeah, for Xfinity, I picked Austin
Uh,
Hill.
Did you pick Austin? I don't think you picked Austin Hill, buddy.
Yeah, I called him the plate track master on last week's episode.
Let's see. Okay, no, you did. Okay, so
No.
you. Okay, so I can't say that. All right, nevertheless, you're the flag you like representing the DR. So technically two non-Americans as far as I'm concerned in this scenario.
It's
Got
crazy.
shit right. Hey, he reps the DR more than he reps the US. Let's be real here.
That's true.
So, I'll let him get that one. It makes the joke funnier, I guess, if there is a joke. I don't know. Nevertheless, all three series racing this weekend. Predictions across all three. Fidel Yorgo.
I feel like we're gonna have another stupid winner this weekend in trucks. And I don't know why. I feel like Crafton's gonna get it.
Didn't you say
Something
Tony Breidinger last? No, that was Stotts. Never mind.
I feel like Crafton is gonna somehow wiggle his way to the lead and get why I think White might be his final career win. But for Xfinity, I feel like going 2 for 2 with the same guy. I think Austin Hill goes back to back. Also, what the hell, my brother watching?
So don't
But
question it. Just make cup prediction.
and then in Cup, I think Keselowski breaks the win streak. I think he wins on that. Ty, I know you look disappointed in me.
Tyler, it's your go.
For trucks, honestly, it's honestly tough because it's pretty much another plate track um race. So honestly, for trucks, I could honestly see Corey Heim pull it off. He was very quick last year, and I could definitely see him pretty much dominate Atlanta. Xfinity, I'm not going to go with Austin Hill because I feel like his luck at the plate tracks will run out eventually. Um, I'm going to go with Parker Kligerman. He was very fast there last year, and I remember very late in the race, he was the only one in the bottom who was passing cars by himself. So he definitely knows how to be able to run both lanes pretty much by himself at that point. And obviously, coming to the coming to the finish last year in that race, he was very close in getting that first win in Xfinity. But I could definitely see Parker finally do it at Atlanta. He was very fast there last year. As far as Cup, honestly, I could honestly see another Hendrick driver, pull it off. I think it'll be Chase Elliott, to be honest. I think the bad luck is finally over with him, and it's his hometown track in Georgia, so I think like you said before, with Hendrick being the hottest team in the sport right now as far as everything goes, with winning the Daytona 500, being really good at the end of the season last year. I think they're going to be the new powerhouse team. I know previously it was Penske, and at some plate tracks it was Stewart Haas. The 2018 Talladega Fall race comes to mind. But I could definitely see Chase Elliott pull it off and finally get that win.
Mm,
think I'm gonna go a little lower here. I think Trucks is gonna be Christian Eckes. I'm gonna be honest with you. He's ran really well last year. Daytona, I didn't really see him that much at Daytona, to be honest with you. I wasn't really paying attention to him, truthfully. Xfinity's weird. Truthfully, I feel like there's a lot of unknowns. I don't think Austin Hill's gonna win this one. I'm with Kyler. I feel like something's gotta he can't win. There's no way. If he does, there's some kind of force field or somebody's doing something, and it ain't him. I'm gonna. Oh man. I I think Sam Mayer wins this one. I'm gonna be honest with you. Thinking about Junior Motorsports, spoke about Sam Mayer. Somebody that's really good at road courses. I think he's gonna add on. Oh, he won Homestead last year, so he's decent at ovals. In the Cup, I'm gonna say Ryan Blaney. I think he looked really good in the 500. Obviously, didn't really go the way he needed it to in the duel or the race itself. But somebody who's wanted to play track before, runs very good at play tracks. Obviously, been on Team Penske. I think it's gonna be Ryan Blaney.
okay. I've been waiting for this moment for a couple
All my
months
life.
now.
Hold on, you were just
What?
rattling off lyrics there. You've been waiting for this moment.
Okay, shut up. Um, no, it's been a couple months since I've done this, but it is time for the cold takes from me. So for
Oh boy.
trucks, I'm gonna go ahead and say that the 9 truck with Grant Enfinger, although it's not a crazy pick driver-wise, the team is not one you'd expect to find victory lane. But I feel like with it being a glorified plate track, it's easy for a team like that to find victory lane with the full-time funding he's got with it. I'm carrying this momentum to the Xfinity series. If from what I'm seeing and hearing is correct, the 14 car for SS Greenlight is backed by Colleague Racing. It's not Daniel Suarez in the car this week. It's JJ Yaley. I'm putting the chips on JJ Yaley. If this car is backed by Colleague, I fully expect it to be up front. I'm not gonna lie to you. And when it comes to Cup, I'm looking at it. Ty's having a mental breakdown because of my insanity here.
Gonna take my hat off, show condolences to your prediction sheet this week.
Oh, this is a tough one. I hate to say it. Justin Haley's winning the Cup race.
Okay, all right, you can stop talking now.
I only say this because that's been one of his best tracks, especially since the reconfiguration. He's shown it in the Cup series. He's shown it in the Xfinity series. Rick Ware has that RFK partnership. So this is where we're going to see that it means something. He was close to the front for a good bit at the 500. So I don't know. This is the one weekend for a while where I'm gonna go with off the wall picks, but I feel like it is right that one of those goes the right direction. If none of those guys get top tens, uh
You should just retire. You're off the
yeah,
pick sheet.
I'm
Never making
done.
another
I'm
one.
never making predictions again. If
Ever.
none of those guys get top tens, I should just stop with predictions because either I'm a curse or I just don't know what the hell I'm doing with my life.
Probably the only accurate prediction is Enfinger, to be
Yeah,
honest.
probably.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm riding on. That's all aboard the choo-choo train because this shit's flying off the rails. Um, Nevertheless, I think that is everything we had to cover, unless I'm missing something. Anyone else have anything to toss in?
Not really.
Not that I know of, at least.
All right. Well, with that, nevertheless, we've got some posts to go up. Obviously, prediction posts will go up tomorrow with everyone within our groups, predictions for this weekend's races. With that being said, thank you all for tuning in to this week's episode. We'll see you next week for episode 3 with the conclusion of the results from Atlanta, any more news that comes out, and predictions going into Las Vegas. So we'll see you guys on the next one. Goodbye.